Learn English through story. The Shadowed Kiss. In a remote mountain village tucked away from the bustling cities, there was a quiet stillness in the air, a silence so thick it seemed to hold its own breath. This village, known as Bramble Hollow, was known for its ancient customs, passed down through generations. And while the people of the village lived simple lives, there was one story that haunted the community: the legend of the Shadowed Kiss. The story was whispered among the elders, told in fragments during cold winter nights when the wind howled outside like a beast trying to find its way in. The tale centered around a mysterious figure, a shadowy woman who would appear under the full moon, offering a kiss to those who wandered too far into the forest. That kiss, it was said, carried the weight of their deepest desires, but also their darkest fears. Many scoffed at the legend, calling it a mere story to frighten children. Others, however, knew better, for there were those who had never returned from their midnight ventures. One such person was a young man named Aiden. Tall, with a sharp jawline and eyes that seemed to hold the very essence of curiosity, Aiden had always been a skeptic. He laughed at the village traditions, questioned their superstitions, and dismissed their tales as relics of a bygone era. He was restless, always dreaming of something greater, something beyond the confines of Bramble Hollow. His hunger for knowledge, for experience, was unquenchable, and it was this very trait that would soon lead him into the depths of the village's most forbidden secret. One crisp autumn evening, Aiden overheard a conversation between two of the village elders. They spoke in hushed tones about a young woman who had vanished a year ago, having last been seen near the edge of the forest on a full moon night. "The kiss," one elder murmured, his voice trembling. "It takes more than just your body. It takes your soul." Aiden's curiosity was piqued. He could not understand how otherwise rational people could believe in such nonsense. He decided, against the warnings of the village, to seek out the truth for himself. The following full moon, with a determined heart and a mind filled with doubt, Aiden set out for the forest. The forest loomed like a dark sentinel, the towering trees casting long shadows across the ground. The wind was colder here, biting at his skin, but Aiden pressed on. He walked deeper, the moonlight barely cutting through the thick canopy above. After what felt like hours, he came to a small clearing, and there, standing at the center, was a figure. She was beautiful and ethereal in her presence. Her long black hair cascaded down her back, and her pale skin seemed to glow under the moonlight. Her eyes, however, were what caught Aiden's attention the most. They were dark, almost void-like, but with an intensity that seemed to peer directly into his soul. "You seek the truth," the woman whispered, her voice soft but filled with a chilling certainty. "But the truth comes at a price." Aiden, despite feeling a chill run down his spine, stood firm. "I seek answers," he said, trying to sound confident. "And I don't believe in old legends." "What are you?" The woman smiled, a slow, knowing smile. "I am the embodiment of desire, fear, and consequence. I offer you what you seek, but only if you accept the kiss." Aiden hesitated. He had heard the stories, of course, but they seemed ridiculous now, standing before her. She was no ghost or demon, she was just a woman, wasn't she? And yet, something about her unnerved him. The legend spoke of men and women who were never seen again after the kiss. But Aiden had always prided himself on his rational mind, and he wasn't about to let a story frighten him. "Very well," he said, stepping closer. "I accept." The woman moved forward gracefully, her presence enveloping him like a cold mist. Her lips touched his, barely a whisper of a kiss. But in that brief moment, everything changed. It wasn't the sensation of the kiss that startled Aiden, but the flood of images, emotions, and memories that crashed into him. He saw himself as a child, running through the village streets, laughing, unburdened by the weight of adulthood. He felt the warmth of his mother's embrace, the pride in his father's eyes when he took his first steps. But then, the images darkened. He saw his own face, twisted with anger, shouting at friends he had lost touch with. He felt the weight of missed opportunities, the bitterness of regrets, the sting of choices he wished he could take back. And then, deeper still, he saw something darker, a version of himself he had never acknowledged. Aiden saw a man consumed by ambition, willing to sacrifice anything and anyone to achieve his goals. He saw himself stepping over those he loved, discarding them in his pursuit of success. He saw his own death, alone, bitter, forgotten by the world he had once longed to conquer. The kiss ended as abruptly as it had begun, and Aiden stumbled back, gasping for breath. The woman stood before him, her expression unreadable. "The kiss reveals all," she said softly. "It shows you what you desire most, but also what you fear most. It shows you the truth." Aiden, shaken to his core, could barely speak. He had always thought he knew himself, that he understood his motivations and desires. But the kiss had shown him the truth and the shadowed parts of his soul he had never dared to confront. "You can leave," the woman said, her voice calm, "but the knowledge stays with you. You cannot unsee what you have seen." Aiden turned, his legs weak beneath him, and began to make his way back to the village. The forest seemed even darker now, the trees towering over him like silent judges. His mind raced with the images he had seen, the truths he had learned about himself. How could he return to his old life, knowing what he now knew? Days passed, and Aiden became a shadow of his former self. The villagers noticed the change in him. He no longer laughed, no longer questioned the old stories. He kept to himself, haunted by the knowledge the kiss had imparted. The truth was a heavy burden, and Aiden found himself sinking deeper into despair. One evening, as he sat alone in his small cottage, staring into the flickering flames of the hearth, a knock came at the door. It was Layla, a woman from the village with whom Aiden had once been close. She had noticed his withdrawal and had come to check on him. "Aiden," she said softly, "you've changed." "What happened?" For a long moment, Aiden said nothing. Then, finally, he spoke, his voice barely above a whisper. "I sought the truth, Layla. I thought I could handle it, but I was wrong." Layla frowned, her brow furrowing in concern. "What truth?" Aiden looked up at her, his eyes filled with a deep sorrow. "The truth about myself." "The kiss. It shows you everything, your desires, your fears, the parts of yourself you try to hide. And now I don't know who I am anymore." Layla sat beside him, her hand resting gently on his arm. "We all have shadows, Aiden. We all have parts of ourselves we're not proud of. But that doesn't define us. What defines us is what we choose to do with that knowledge." Aiden looked at her, surprised by her words. He had been so consumed by his own darkness, by the truths revealed to him, that he had forgotten he still had a choice. The kiss had shown him the worst of himself, but it had also given him a chance to change. "You're right," he murmured, a small spark of hope flickering within him. "I've been so afraid of what I saw, but maybe it's not too late." Layla smiled softly. "It's never too late, Aiden." And so, with her words echoing in his mind, Aiden made a choice. He could not erase the darkness the kiss had revealed, but he could face it. He could confront the shadows within himself and strive to be better, to live a life of purpose, of kindness, and of understanding. The shadowed kiss was not a curse, Aiden realized, but a gift, a mirror held up to the soul, forcing one to see both the light and the dark. It was not the kiss itself that destroyed people, but their inability to accept what it showed them. In time, Aiden began to heal. He reconnected with those he had pushed away, mended relationships he had neglected, and found a new sense of peace within himself. The legend of the shadowed kiss lived on in Bramble Hollow, but Hayden no longer feared it. He had faced his own shadows and come out the other side stronger, wiser, and with a deeper understanding of the complexities of the human soul. The truth, Hayden learned, was not something to be feared, but something to be embraced. And in the end, it was the truth that set him free. I hope you enjoyed the story. If you enjoyed, then please like and share this video, and don't forget to subscribe our YouTube channel. Thank you for watching.